To establish a common vocabulary, when I use a black piece that is representing a positive value, we get that from the business world where when a company is doing well and they have money in their account, they are in the black. And a red is representing a negative value, such as when a business is not doing well, they owe more money than they have, and they are said to be in the red. So a black is positive and a red is negative. Together, those two value, a positive and a negative, are neutral, and they represent a value of 0. So if I continue putting in some neutral pairs, I still have a value of 0. As soon as I add in another positive piece, because these have no value, I'm now representing a value of positive 1. If I flip that over to red, I now have a value representing a negative 1. If I add another one, I have now a value representing negative 2. So on the first problem, I'm going to be starting with a value of positive 5. And I've talked to the students about always starting off with a minimal representation of the value, which means 5 black pieces to representing a value of positive 5. Now from this collection, I'm going to be taking away positive 3, or I read that as positive 5, taking away 3 positives. So from this collection of positive 5, I identify the 3 positives and take those away. So the remaining value is positive 2. This second problem, I'm going to start with a value of negative 5. So I'm going to bring in my 5 negative pieces. So here's a value of negative 5. To complete the problem, I am going to take away 3 negatives. So to complete this problem, these 3 negatives that I've identified are going to be taken away, and my remaining value is 2 negatives. For the next problem, I am also going to start with a value of negative 5. So here's my value of negative 5 in a minimal representation. From this value of negative 5, I need to take away positive 3. That means I'm going to subtract or take away 3 positive pieces. Well, positive is black, and I don't have any black pieces to take away. So this representation of negative 5 is not going to allow me to complete the problem. But if I add in a neutral pair, I'm not changing the value of my negative 5. So I still have a value of negative 5, and now I have a positive piece, but I don't have 3 positive pieces. So I'm going to have another neutral pair brought in. I still have a value of negative 5, and I'm almost there. So here's a third neutral pair. So my value is still negative 5 because these pairs have no value. So from this collection, or this representation of negative 5, I can take away 3 positives. So here are the 3 positives that I'm going to take away. I remove them from the collection, and my remaining value is 8 negatives, or negative 8. On the next example, I'm going to start with a value of positive 5. So here are my 5 positives. This time I'm going to take away negative 3. Again, with my minimal representation, I don't have any negatives to take away. So I'm going to re-represent my value of positive 5 with some neutral pairs. So here I have a neutral value, so I'm still representing positive 5. I'm not quite ready yet. Here's another neutral pair, but I cannot yet take away 3 negatives. So I have 1 more neutral to add in there. Now for this representation of positive 5, I can complete the problem by taking away these 3 negatives. So I identify the 3 negatives, take them away, and my remaining value is positive 8. So at this point, it's important that students are looking for patterns, but there's not really enough yet to establish a pattern. So I have one more problem to bring in the idea of be cautious about jumping to conclusions with patterns. So here I have a problem where I have a value of negative 3. From the value of negative 3, I need to take away 4 negatives. And I don't yet have 4 negatives. So as you know, I can bring in a neutral pair. Now I have a neutral pair with a value of 0. I still have a negative 3 represented, but now I can take away 4 negatives. So these 4 negatives I'm going to identify, take those away. My remaining value is positive 1. So that was all the examples leading up to their assignment.